Well, questions have come up over the government's 1 lakh crore deeptech fund after an investigation found that some of the companies being given the money had investment or business links with members of the committee selecting them. Well, it's the RDI fund, the Research, Development and Innovation Fund. In the first round, 22 companies were approved for 2,192 crore in funding. But here's how it gets interesting. An Indian Express investigation found that 15 of those 22 companies had investment or other business links with 7 members of the 12-member selection committee. These 15 companies together accounted for more than 62% of the approved amount. And 9 of those 15 companies were linked to the chairman of the committee itself. So now, before we jump to conclusions, this does not mean that the companies were improperly selected. These committee members have said that they've disclosed their interests and rescued themselves whenever there was conflict. So the government has also said that the selection was based on merit and that conflicted members were not involved in any sort of evaluation or sanctioning the relevant proposals. So if you look at it, technically the safeguards are there. But when the people sitting at the selection table also have links with companies who are receiving the money, you can understand why those sort of eyebrows are raised. So who are these companies who are actually there in the first batch? There's Dhruva Space, Agnikul Cosmos, Tejas Networks, Aether Energy, Idea Forge. They're among some of those 22 companies who are approved under the TDB route. So let's take a step back and what exactly is this 1 lakh crore fund? Let's try to understand that. So the RDI fund was approved by the Union Cabinet in July 2025 with a 1 lakh crore corpus to be deployed over 6 years. The idea is to provide long-term, relatively low-cost capital to Indian companies working in difficult technologies from space and quantum computing to AI, robotics, biotech and advanced manufacturing. Basically, the government wants to build the technologies of tomorrow. No pressure. And the government is using different routes to get this money into the ecosystem. So the TDB route, the Technology Development Board, is something we've already discussed. But there's another important route, and that's the fund of funds route. Here the government doesn't directly pick startups. Instead, it puts money into selected VC funds, and those VCs then invest in deep tech startups. And this is where another problem is emerging. So according to the latest Economic Times report, nearly 20 investors who've been shortlisted under this route are still waiting for their allocations to be disbursed. Among those lined up are Idea Spring Capital, Special Invest, Chirate Ventures, 6 Sense Ventures and Bloom Ventures. They had applied, presented to a selection committee and were expecting the money to start flowing. Except apparently the money is taking the scenic route. And that matters because deep tech is not your typical quick commerce startup. These companies need patient capital, long development cycles, and a lot of money before their technology can become commercially viable. India wants to build world-class deep tech companies, perhaps even its own Silicon Valley. But before we get there, maybe the first test is simpler. Can India build a funding system where the right companies get the money, the process is transparent, and the money actually arrives on time? Because Silicon Valley wasn't built just by announcing a giant fund. And hopefully India's version won't need a GPS to find where the money went.